Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and if you're looking for a really great special to start off the holiday season right, look no further than Hey Arnold's Thanksgiving special. Season 3 episode 16 premiered on November 18th, 1998. In this episode, Arnold and Helga are both tired of their family's yearly traditions, so they decide to enjoy dinner with their teacher, Mr. Simmons, and they learn a valuable lesson along the way. To start things off, Arnold rides his bike through the city and watches a reenactment of the Mayflower's voyage. Back at PS 118, the students are performing a play about the Pilgrim settlements at Plymouth Rock in 1620 and the first Thanksgiving. The play isn't going as planned, but to be fair, these actors are just kids. The boat breaks apart, sending everyone on stage into a frenzy. Harold eats all the corn maze.
I was hungry!
And Eugene trips, but he's okay. Backstage, Gerald talks to Arnold about how excited he is for Thanksgiving, but Arnold tells him how his grandmother confuses Thanksgiving for 4th of July. Now Gertie, girl! Anyway, their Thanksgiving celebration is more of a rooftop barbecue with hot dogs, even if it's freezing out. There ain't no kind of weather that can stop Miss Pookie. I don't know, aside from the weather being cold, I wouldn't mind a cookout barbecue for Thanksgiving dinner. Light up that grill, baby! Helga tells Phoebe about her typical Thanksgiving experience, which consists of Miriam overcooking the stuffing, Bob watching back-to-back football games while burping and complaining about eating too many burritos, and Olga asking Helga to help fix dinner. Arnold and Helga are called on stage to perform the last scene of the play, where a quote-unquote perfect 50s-era Thanksgiving gathering with Pearl, Peter, Joy, Robert, and Uncle Chuck is depicted.
Joy, how's it going at your job?
Better than ever. I've been promoted.
The characters go around the table to say what they're thankful for before eating and the play ends. Mr. Simmons' writing style for the play may be a bit too saccharine for some, but I think it fits his character. The students are dismissed for Thanksgiving break, and while Arnold is walking home, he passes by a window displaying a feast, wishing everything could just be normal. We cut to Helga's house, and everything she described to Phoebe is happening like clockwork. The stuffing is overcooked, Bob is way too preoccupied with football, and Helga is Olga's most important assistant, tasked with the job of preparing potatoes. Even Helga's pinecone centerpiece is outshined by Olga's turkey ice sculpture. She can't even have a simple discussion with Bob about the importance of the holiday.
Because we all get to be together as a family and be thankful for all the good things in our lives?
Oh yeah, right.
I feel so bad for her here because her parents are just being neglectful as always. Back at Arnold's boarding house, Phil designates all the boarders' jobs for the day, and Gertie comes out all festive and dressed up. When Arnold asks if the family could just have a traditional Thanksgiving dinner for once, Ernie ridicules him because that only happens on the 4th of July when Gertie thinks it's Christmas. Oh come on Ernie, give the kids some semblance of hope. You just had to squash it right then and there. It's not too far-fetched of a suggestion to me at least. The adults are up on the roof and setting up the barbecue, while Oscar's lazy behind is just sitting there eating all the food.
And the rocket's red glare!
Sang it, Tress McNeil. When Arnold asks Phil why they go along with Gertie's plans every year, he says it's because it wouldn't be as fun if they were just like everyone else, which disappoints Arnold. I totally get his disappointment though. On one hand, I understand wanting to be different, but I'd also want to experience a typical holiday if I were living his life at his age. At Helga's house, Helga is overwhelmed with duties, as not only does she have to prepare potatoes, but Bob also wants her to stuff beepers into cornucopias for a business sale. Meanwhile, Arnold is up in his room dressing up as Benjamin Franklin when the doorbell rings. Arnold answers in costume and it's Harold asking for marshmallows since he ate them all and they're needed for yams. Harold proceeds to make fun of Arnold, calling him a bald-headed lady with rectangle glasses. Arnold doesn't want him to tell anyone else, but...
Arnold dressed up for Thanksgiving like
Harold!
a bald
Okay, Ezel, leave him alone now. This is Arnold's last straw, and he leaves the house. Meanwhile, Helga's family is sitting at the table and saying what they're thankful for. Olga's thankful for being able to provide the meal for her family. Bob is thankful for the beeper emporium he started from the ground up. And Miriam, who's probably coming off another one of them drinks, says she's thankful for the ice sculpture. Helga says she's thankful for absolutely nothing. And Bob sends her upstairs to her room, but she leaves the house instead. Helga gushes about how Arnold is probably having such a great Thanksgiving, until he runs into her and she learns Arnold isn't having the best holiday either, something she thought couldn't be true since his family's so eccentric. They bond over their experiences when Arnold tells Helga to look at the bright side, to which she feels there is none. A beautiful view? Not necessarily. No school? I mean, that's nice and all, but that's just a small reason to be excited about Thanksgiving. I'm sure Arnold knows this though, and he's just trying to lighten things up the best way he knows how. He points out the Mayflower as an optimistic symbol for the holiday, but it crashes into the bridge. Arnold brings up that he keeps thinking about Mr. Simmons' play and how his family is likely to have a great Thanksgiving. Helga tells Arnold that Simmons' play is not indicative at all of real life. I'm glad that Helga gave him a dose of reality here. I understand that Arnold is just a young kid who wants to see the bright side whenever possible, but it's just not realistic for a family to have the perfect dinner, even if it is Mr. Simmons. They visit him anyway, and from the outside, things are looking bright. But once they get inside, they realize Mr. Simmons' family is not like the play at all, even though the characters were named after his family members. Mr. Simmons asks his family to talk about what they're thankful for before arguments ensue. Never mind. Joy chokes on her food, and the Heimlich maneuver projects the food onto Peter's face. Peter accuses Joy of choking on purpose, which is just ludicrous.
Have some more stuffing, Pearl.
What do you mean by that, Sparky?
His family needs to calm down. Helga and Arnold retreat to the kitchen, where she admits that the bickering they're seeing now is even worse than her own family. Gee, if Helga's the one pointing this out, that's when you know the family dynamic is toxic. The two recognize how his family can't put aside their differences to embrace meaningful tradition for a few hours. And that's when they notice they've been acting the same way towards their own families. Mr. Simmons walks in on them and admits his Thanksgiving dinner is a disaster and nowhere near in similarity to the perfect Thanksgiving scenario he wrote for his play. Despite all that, he is still thankful for and loves his family, with that love and thankfulness being the driving force that brings his family together year after year. I think Mr. Simmons is a wonderful role model for the young characters. And I'm not just talking about Arnold and Helga here, I'm talking about all the kids. The way he approaches them with softness and kindness just leaves me feeling empowered, and it shows that he really wants to motivate his students to be the best that they can be. Thankful for the advice, Arnold and Helga decide to leave Mr. Simmons' house. Neither of them really want to go home, but it's getting dark and they're hungry. Wait a minute, what's going on there? I know, it ain't nothing inappropriate, but the way they framed those characters in the window is still a bit awkward. I'd just like to point it out. Arnold walks Helga home and she finds out that her family's in a panic, with Miriam calling the police, Bob taking his Hummer to search for her, and Olga making flyers. Award-winning? Olga, can you have decency and not be conceited for 5 seconds? I don't think now is the time to tout your achievements. So tacky. Or should I say, pa-tacky. Amid the chaos, Helga makes her presence known, and everyone is relieved to know that she is safe and sound. She tells everyone that she's thankful to have a great home and that the family's together. Francesca Marie Smith's performance adds so much to this scene. You can kinda hear her voice start to become a little shaky, as she's conveying Helga's anxiety towards the exertion of her feelings, something she doesn't do out in the open too often. Helga's body language conveys this emotion really well too, so props to the animators.
I just want to say that I'm really thankful that I have a great home and all of you are here and...
Her family expresses how thankful they are for her, which is awesome to see considering how they usually treat her. They all sit at the table together to enjoy dinner, with the TV set up to where Bob can see it from the table, and Miriam completes the scenery with Helga's centerpiece. Arnold watches the Patakis through the window before heading back to his house. Once inside, Arnold sees the house and rooftop are completely empty except for Phil, who tells him everything went downhill after he left, supposedly. Realizing Arnold wanted a real Thanksgiving, everyone got together to host a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Arnold is thrilled but still asks what happened to the 4th of July. Gertie tells him to take off the Ben Franklin outfit and dig in. The episode ends with Gertie setting off fireworks because it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without him. This episode does a great job at explaining why it's important to be thankful for what we have, even if things aren't perfect. And if your family has tradition that's not your cup of tea, you can either try your hardest to embrace it and appreciate it, or be open to the winds of change. Seeing Helga and Arnold bond in this episode really warms my heart. It's always a good time to see them get along and Helga isn't trying to mask her feelings by bullying. If there's one thing I wish we got to see Gerald's family celebrate, but if I have to sacrifice that for more scenes with Arnold and Helga, then I don't mind at all. If you're in need for another Thanksgiving special this year, this is definitely one to check out. You can find this episode on either Paramount Plus or the Hey Arnold Ultimate DVD collection. If you've already seen this one, what do you think about it? Let's talk in the comments.